not lose our sound. And I'm going to take this away for now. I'll pop it up back in a little bit. All right, friends. What the heck is a festoon? Well, let me tell you what. So traditionally, a festoon is more of a swag, right? It's more of a collection of organic material that's held from 2 points, right? You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Cher. So the festoons that we're going to be painting today are a little bit of a twist on that, where it's a collection of organic material, but fastened from 1 point at the top, which I think is just so fun. I became obsessed with festoons. Thank you, Erin, for your donation. Thank you. So much appreciated. Pretty brushes. Yes, thank you. So one of the last international, it was actually the last international trip that I took was to the Netherlands. And it was in 2019 during tulip season of all things. And it was a dream, such a dream. And while we were in, oh gosh, I can't even remember now, but we went to a museum and I got to see this particular painting. I believe it was this one. Jean-David's Dehim. And I saw this in person or something very much like this, but I'm pretty sure it was this one. And it was, the title of it was something festoon. And I was just obsessed. I loved it. And so I tend to be a travel sketcher. I love to document my travels and sketches. Hello, friends. Yes. And so I started creating my own festoons. And so this one was, we went to, again, I can't remember exactly where we were, but we went to a, it was like a greenhouse in one of the bigger cities. It was incredible. And so I documented my experience there and I created this greenhouse festoon. Yes, friends, you can still hear me. Just somebody say, yes, we can hear you, just so I'm sure. And so each place that we went, I started developing a festoon and clearly didn't finish them all. This one, this was in Bruges and I put the name. Oh, here it was. What was the name of this one? This was De Hostess Festoon. So this was a horticulture center of some sort. I'm probably mispronouncing it terribly. This was Bruges. Lots of candy and wonderful things. And so this one, I don't think I noted this one. This one I actually did. I had put actual live things on here. That's why there's all these holes. Yes, you can hear me. Fabulous. Super loud and clear. Awesome. This one was, this, oh my gosh, this is called, it was a zoo in Brussels. Anywho, it was a zoo. I'm really bad. My memory's horrible. And clearly I started it, but we have the birds and we had beautiful trees and there was so much lushness. Wonderful. Thank you, Adele, for your, oh my goodness, Adele, thank you so much for your donation. Thank you. Remember, friends, 100% of the proceeds today and any that come through after today, because this live will be featured and continue to be on my YouTube channel forever and ever. Amen. Are 100% going to Matthew 25 Ministries. They've already reached out to me. I've been, thank you for the super chat, friends. As I've been talking about this fundraiser, they've reached out to me and they're so incredibly grateful. So let's get to it, friends. So I'm going to do something very similar to this one today. I, of course, love the color scheme for our brothers and sisters in peril, honestly, in Ukraine and trying to flee Ukraine. So let this be our homage to them in color and in effort, too. So let me know in comments, are you painting along with me today, friends? I'd love to hear if you will be painting along with me today. Just say in comments, let's see, what can we say? Painting along. That's all I need to know. Just adjusting the camera here, a smidge. All right, friends, something to know about me if you're new here. I am a little bit of a fly by the seat of her pants kind of gal. All right. it was kind of funny. A lot of folks were asking for a supply list or an outline or a sketch. And I'm like, that's funny because it's me. So I'm a little bit of a crazy doodle. Painting along. Awesome. Nancy, Selena, Katie, painting along. I'm so excited. First time here. Welcome, Elaine. Thank you so much. Giving food to doggos and watching you paint away. Wonderful. All the doggos have to eat. Remember, friends, this will be have a home on my channel forever and ever. Amen. So if you are new here, just know that I'm a little bit of a wild card and I go with my gut. And so right now what I'm doing is I want to work through a little bit of composition with you. I feel, thank you so much, Diana, for your donation. So much appreciated. Friends, I'm calling out the donations that I can see that are popping up on my screen. If I miss yours, it's not intentionally. So I've been doing this iPad sketching thing lately. Now, if you don't have an iPad, no biggie deal. Thank you, Mel, so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can just grab a sheet of paper. You can grab your pen, your pencil, whatever, and have at it. I've been enjoying the iPad. I don't know why. Whatever, I guess I feel fancy. So it's a great way to work out your composition. So I'm going to do this like brass ring today. And then I'm thinking about an S curve, right? That's going to be my start. And then maybe a shorter S curve and then build that S curve out. And this is just very simple directional lines to kind of get my brain fixed on how I'm going to build this festoon. I definitely love the tulip bulb that is happening. I remember so loving painting that tulip bulb when I first did this. So I'm probably going to put her right about here and then run the actual tulip coming out down into here. I think that'll be cool. And then, you know, some stuff coming out. This is just a great way to map out what you're going to do. These will probably turn into ribbons here. All right. And then maybe a short bit here and another short bit up here. But you can see how this helps you envision your composition and how you're going to fill a page. I'm purposely kind of using the same aspect ratio. I'm going to be painting on this today, this right here. So very, you know, it's the same aspect ratio as my iPad. I'm making things simple for myself, right? Good. Yeah, I've really been enjoying sketching on the iPad. Rachel, I'm so glad you're painting along. Jen, yeah. Cynthia, saving video, no paints with me. That is okay. That is okay. All right. Down here, I know I'm probably going to do a bunch of little things. Little swaggy. What are they called? It's a particular type of hyacinth that look like little berries. Somebody tell me what those are called. Not the traditional Easter hyacinth. What are they called? I don't know. On behalf of all Ukrainians around the world, I thank you. My maternal grandmother's city, Ukraine, is under mounting threat from the evil one. Please pray for all of Ukraine. Indeed, we will. Thank you. Thank you, Diane. Thank you so much. I'm just reading your comments. Grape hyacinth. Thank you, Teresa. Oh, goodness gracious. I knew somebody was going to have it for me. Okay. So I actually really love to teach about composition. I am no expert. I am classically trained, but I took all my classical training and kind of tossed it out the door as I kind of grew up in my art making. But I always say, I want you to break the rules, but I want you to learn the rules first, right? So I like to think about my painting and composition as it's just such an invaluable tool to learn, and it's not being taught enough in all the places. So I love to talk about it. Oh, Marge, Squill, is that what the real name is? So sorry, the Ukrainian people are going through this. Purse for all. Thank you, Jen. Absolutely. All right, so I think we're good. This is my bulb. This is my tulip. I'll probably maybe do a couple like you know, tulip, those beautiful, like when the tulip is just starting, they're more of a sharp shape. Love that. Put a couple of those in there. Awesome sauce. All right, friends, if you have questions, about how I do things, why I do things, please shout them out, friends. I want to hear it. We're probably going to intertwine some ribbon into this brass ring. I'm probably going to cheat and find something round to create my brass ring, but I think we're about ready to get this underway and get this sketch going. All right, friends, I am working on arches today. I am working on rough arches for a change, which is fun. I will be using the Art for Joy's Sake brush collection, which so many of you have been asking, and I'm so sorry to say that it is sold out currently. But I'm also going to be using a round brush as well. I'm just going to kind of be going with the flow. And as I switch brushes, I will certainly keep you in the loop on what I'm using and why and how and all the things. All right, perfect. Everybody, can we hear me? Am I still here with you? Let me know if there are any issues. All right. I'm using a mechanical pencil today. Thank you for the donation. I just saw it and I didn't get the name. All right. Let's get her going. I am working from memory, friends, but I invite you. I often don't work from memory. I often pull up photos. So you do you. Get that photo up if that's what helps you. If you want to challenge yourself and work from memory, then do that too. I feel like I want a bigger ring today. I feel like actually, see, I told you I'm a wild card. Coming through loud and clear. Super dupes. I told you I'm a wild card, friends. I changed my mind at the drop of a hat. I just love that ring shape. And let me see how I can get that inner circle, but I'm not too worried about it. All right. Let's get that S curve in here. And let's start looking at, all good. Thank you, Hope. Washi tape for a brass ring. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start the bulb right up here as a big old circle. And then start to interrupt that shape. I do recommend starting light, obviously, with your pencils so that you can erase easily. Get some of the ribbon laid out here. And we'll do some here. The supplies that I'm using today, and I did let everyone know that there was no specific supply list. I mentioned the watercolor paper. I am using, thank you, Joanna. I'm using my Daniel Smith palette today. Pretty simple. I'm probably going to bring in some watercolor markers. I just love these. I'm using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. Love, 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 love those. So start with your big shapes or start with just directional lines. So important to get a sense of the general movement and to get a sense of the direction of your main elements. I am a big fan of directional lines. I use them at the beginning of a painting and I use it after. Now watch what I did there. These are my tulip buds, let's call them. They're not the color, you know what I'm talking about, where the tulip is just starting to bloom. You can just see a little bit of the color that it will be popping through, but it's mostly green. So I start with an oval and then I immediately go in and start to interrupt, expand, or cut into that oval to start to define that shape even more. But I always start with my basic shapes. Thinking about the line, where's the stem going to come down? So I actually started it up here by the ring and continued it down. And now I'm going to define that stem. I really am exaggerating that curvature that happens with tulips as they age. You know, tulips, they kind of twist and turn and loop and dupe. I love it. So I'm really exaggerating that right here. See that? You're like, wow, that's a twisty, curvy, loopy doopy tulip. That's right. I'm not here to paint nature as it is. I'm here to paint nature as it makes me feel. All right. Starting to think about that big tulip that is going to start growing out of this bulb. And it's not quite realistic, right? Because, I mean, I don't really know the life cycle of a tulip, but I'm pretty sure when it's in its bulb state, I mean, I guess if you dug it up, if you dug up a tulip that was in, you know, prime blooming state, this is what it would look like. All right. Getting that in there. Friends, let me know your questions. I'm so glad you're here. If you're just hopping on, friends, we are doing a fundraiser for Matthew 25 Ministries and their efforts to support Ukrainian refugees. And 100% of any of the donations that are designated for Ukraine right now are going directly to that. There will be no processing fees. There will be no administrative fees taken out. So if you are able to help us, they are primarily looking, they are, toiletry items, personal care items, clothing, food. That is what if you go on their website, that is what you're going to see. I'll just pop this up again so you can see exactly where I'll be donating all of these funds. This is it. This is Matthew 25 Ministries, and you can read right here. 100% of donated funds designated for Ukraine will be used for the purpose intended. So good stuff. Good stuff. All right, just continuing on here. I get asked the question a lot, will you erase these pencil lines later on? I will not erase these pencil lines later on in this particular piece. Will I finish this piece today? Probably not. But for the most part, these lines will just get covered up pretty easily as I go. All right, let's get some leaves in here, just popping out. And in many ways in this, the festoon is an abstraction of sorts, because clearly a lot of this would be very difficult. A lot of this would be very difficult to actually make flowers do this in real life, right? So we're kind of abstracting and we're putting the leaves and the bulbs and the blooms, we're putting them exactly where we want them. And isn't that the beauty of this? I'm going to put another leaf over here. And this is just like a long drawn out S. And then I mirror that shape right next to it. So let's do this again. So long S. And then I'm going to mirror it again, a long S. And then we have a little leaf curl. You can donate to, it'll be directly to me via Venmo, and that's at Momental, right at the bottom of the screen there, or PayPal, KristyRice@momentaldesigns.com. I explained earlier, those Momental Designs is my invitation business. It's the umbrella through which all of my businesses function. So if you're wondering about like, well, what the heck is Momental Designs? That's what Momental Designs is. Friends, if you are watching this on the replay, and I hope that you are, I hope that you're with me, please still ask questions in the comments. I love my replay audience, and I love the questions that come out and that build up over time on these uploads. They're so incredible. So I still answer every single question and every single comment that comes through. I'll be honest, it takes me longer now. So, just bear with me. But please, please get in the comment section and have at it. I want to hear from you. All right, let's get some grape hyacinth in here. I'm just looking at my sketch. I have 1, 2, 3 clusters. Great little compositional thing, very basic, but so important is to work in odd numbers. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's one that has served me well. Our eye just is more excited to see things in odd numbers versus even numbers. And yeah, so I'm going to do 3 little clusters of what I remember grape hyacinth to look like. I love the freedom of not working from life, from a photo. I do love to work from life, I'll be honest, but I love the freedom of not, because it just feels like you're creating your own little magical world, right? I just adore that. Absolutely. And so basically what I'm doing here is creating a series of descending size little misshapen ovals. So descending meaning they're their largest here at the top, this being the top. And as I go down, excuse me, and follow along that S curve, they're getting smaller. So it just creates a lovely little graceful effect. I'm making sure that each of these little misshapen ovals has its own personality. So I'm not continually making the same type of circle or oval mark over and over again. I'm letting my fingers just kind of bounce around this shape. So now I'm over here. You can see how I'm building this second little spray of grape hyacinth. And I'm also, as I'm thinking about the personality of the shape of my ovals, I'm also thinking about the curve. I want everything about this festoon is curving and graceful and evolving. So friends, hit me up with questions. Let me know, are you still painting along with me? What other flowers are you adding to your festoon? Friends, I'm so excited. I am, we have 133 of you here. That's insane. And I am just so honored. So thank you so much. Give this a like if you're having a good time. I call it a boop. If you're with me on YouTube, I always say, give this video a boop. And that's a like. And that just lets YouTube know that you're having a good time. So I would so appreciate that. Indeed. Okay, I'm going to think about, I want another ribbon kind of coming down here. So I'm just going to kind of start a little something up here and then think about where it's going to pop out here. It's going to pop out right about here. And then I want to curve out and kind of end it here. All right. Let's see. Here, maybe it twists. I'm thinking of like silk ribbon that is very, very flexible and flimsy. So I'm definitely not making it structured looking. I'm making it kind of curved and twisted kind of ribbon. Awesome. Adding a sunflower. Awesome, Linda. Yes. Ellie says, I'm so happy that someone in our YouTube community is our art YouTube community is talking about Ukraine. Indeed. Trying to keep up with your beautiful sketching. Let me know, painting scripture, if you have questions. Drawing on watercolor paper to paint later. Thinking strength for Ukraine. Indeed. Amen and hallelujah. Thank you, friends. All right. Great point in this sketch to kind of just take a moment, take a beat, see how you're feeling, take a drink. Where does the sketch feel like it needs a little more love? Definitely right here. I feel like I've got this spray coming out here, this spray coming out here, and then it's really balanced. I'm pleased with this. I'm pleased with the balance of it. But I do feel like we could put a little something here. And I'm looking back at this piece because this is what I'm basing all of mine on. And I just realized that there was a teeny tinier little bulb here, even though I don't think that would actually exist in real life like that. But I do have some fuchsia in here. And I don't even know what this was. It looks like a little orchid. And these were maybe like wax flowers. So I have some other little moments that I could add in here. I'm going to do a little wax flower-ish like cluster. I'm going to start with one little teardrop shape. I'm going to end up with 5 because you know me and odd numbers. So there's my second. Here's another little teardrop. That's one's kind of pointing this way. This one's pointing this way. So from a slight side view, and then 4, and then 5. Let me show you how I built that. That little cluster. So I did something kind of like this, right? And then, so kind of from a side view, they kind of look like this. And then like that. And something like that. And then the middle will just be wherever it lands. And so I'm going to cluster a few of those right in this area here. And some will just be budding. So a bigger teardrop. And one just kind of peeking out here. So I'll come back here and show you kind of what I'm doing with that. So more of a bud-like shape. Uh-oh. I think did it run out? It did run out. Oh, fun. I'm going to charge her up so that I can continue to do this. I love sketching on my iPad, but it just ran out of juice. So I will show you here. So I'm working in this area. Got the big flower. So this is kind of your basic, right? 5. And then coming out, I'm going to have some larger, just like buds with a little bit of like a green base on it. Like that. And then I'm eventually going to connect them with little stems, kind of intertwining with one another. Maybe a side view like that. So there's a big look at what I'm doing in this little tiny space. Thank you, Cindy. I'm so sorry, Joanna. I am grateful that you're with us. I'm so sorry to hear of your loss. So I'm kind of tucking these simple 5-petaled flowers, or 3-petaled if it's a side view, behind some of these leaves here. And then just some nondescript little oval moments that just kind of look like filler. So that's lovely there. I might repeat some of that down here, another full facing version of this bloom. And another here. I want to actually go back here and connect some tall, small, thin stems just a little hint of some stems connecting. Hello from Indiana. Hi, Diane. Thank you for being here. Yes, Mel, it is the Procreate app, indeed. I actually invested in the iPad a few years ago because I was doing a lot of, I don't do calligraphy proper. I'm just, it's just not my jam. I can't do it. It's so hard. But I was doing a lot of handwriting for the titles and the subtitles in one of my books. And it was just a lovely, efficient way to make that happen. And ever since I continue to do a lot of handwriting for different projects in Procreate. So I started using it very recently for YouTube because it became a wonderful, oh my heavens to Betsy. That's not what I was expecting to happen. Did you guys see that? My little arm just decided to take off here. Okay. Hi. Yes, you can do Venmo. It's all through my business. I am not taking anything out of any of the donations, nor is Matthew 25 Ministries. Hello. Thank you. Hi from India. Lovely work going on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, friends. Okay. I'm going to start painting soon because I feel like it. Something that I also do, I will start painting and then I will continue to sketch because I be crazy like that. So, you know, just bear with me. I'm still searching for something to do the inner part of this circle with because I just can't deal with trying to draw a perfect circle. It's just not in my, let me see. How does this, would this work? Ooh. I think she works. My little cup of tools. No, like, how is that even possible? It's the same exact, unbelievable, same exact size. Ooh, this will kind of work. It'll be a big old brass ring, but that's kind of fun. Maybe. Let's just do it. Big old brass ring. All right. I got it. I'm doing it. I'm just diving in. Friends, I really believe in working from a place of instinct, working from a place where fear just has no home. It's like any habit. It's like a habit. It's not like any habit. It is a habit that you have to develop. And like, see, that's not perfect. That's not perfect. But I don't care because it's pretty and it's going to work regardless of its imperfection, right? It's going to flip and work. And so I'm going to start to twirl. Now I am going to erase because I want to make sure I've got the right looping of ribbon happening here. It's going to come out here and then it's going to go over here. And it's going to be super uneven and wonky because it's, remember, it's silk ribbon. That soft, loopy, gossamer-like silk. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, that goes behind. I'm still probably going to mess this up, but it's okay. We work so hard to put ourselves in a creative box, don't we? Even with our creative journey, the one that is supposed to give us joy and calm and quiet, what do we do to ourselves? We pop ourselves back into a box and we worry and we fret and we think that if we mess up our painting, we're not worthy, right? We do all these things to ourselves. But what is it really? It's a piece of paper. Even at its best, the paper cost, what, $1? $2? piece of paper, and I'll remind you, it has two sides. Your paper has two sides. Hello from Denmark. Hello. Delilah, I'm so glad I'm sharing my obsession with festoons. Isn't it so fun? I'll be honest, dare I use the word, but it becomes, for whatever reason, I think it's the organic shape and quality of a festoon. It's quite easy to develop them, right? Because there are very little parameters with a festoon. You're not really dealing with perspective. You're not dealing even with scale, because you're dealing with flowers, and maybe you're doing some fruits. Maybe you add in a bug or whatever, right? But this is your world. You can do what you want, and it's still going to look good, even if the perspective is off, even if you know where I'm going here, right? You know, I'm getting a little bit precious about my ribbon here, but I'm all for you getting precious as long as it makes you feel good. If you're getting precious in your painting and it's causing you stress, and you are clenching your jaw and you're holding tension in your shoulders as you're getting precious, then that tells you something needs adjustment, okay? So get precious, my dear friends, but be very mindful of how you feel whilst being precious. All right. I'm going to just get out of the ribbon obsession here, because I can always tweak and adjust as I go. Yes. Ellie says, I'm literally painting on the other side of a painting I didn't love as we speak. And sometimes I paint on both sides, even if I do love the first side. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because at the worst, if you paint something on both sides that you end up loving, you just scan one side and use it. Like, make prints for gifts. Like, seriously, let's not worry ourselves into inaction, right? Right. Okay. Let's get a fuchsia in here, and then we're going to get to painting, because I need to paint. All right. I'm starting with kind of a slightly elongated circle here, and then two long, like, spear-like shapes radiating out from the top middle of that circle. And then let's interrupt this circle a bit, elongate it, interrupt it. And there we have the beginning of our fuchsia. The fuchsia has, depending on the variety, a little bit of a, I don't know, little topper, I guess we could call it. And then skinny little stem coming out from it. And there she is. Done and done. A few of these little, I guess they're stamens. I don't know. And there's our fuchsia. Just refining that spear shape a little bit. Yes, I am erasing. I don't do a lot of erasing. When I do erase, I'm very mindful. If I'm erasing more than I'm adding to the painting, I tend to catch myself, because you can get in this crazy obsessive loop of trying to perfect a specific spot in your piece. And it's a loop, and it's a loop you don't want to be in. It's not love. All right. I forgot about these little tiny fuchsia blooms. I love those. I'm going to add those in. Thinking about my S curve, I'm going to have them come out just a little. Let's do a few circles just to map out size and placements. And these are just kind of like little hearts. What are these? These are like, what are they called? Bleeding hearts, I think. So I'm going to interrupt this elongated circle shape and create a little bit more of a heart. Very shallow heart shape, but a heart just the same. Okay. Nice little touch there. And then maybe just some leaves, because leaves back here, just a suggestion of something, because these felt disconnected without it. I could have just as easily painted those in, but I'm in a sketchy mood today. So the vendor address, I'm not sure if you're going right to Matthew 25 Ministries. I don't know. I was collecting donations. I mean, you can do it however you want. I don't care how the money gets to them. But I haven't tried that donate link on their site. They could be overwhelmed having technical difficulties. I don't know. I am going to be posting here and on Facebook when I do make the lump sum donation. So you can, I realize though that you'll get a receipt if you do it directly. So hello, Jody, watching from Allentown. Friends, thank you for supporting Joanna. Thank you so much. It is going over an hour, Katie, 100%. It's definitely going longer than an hour. Fernanda, I'm so glad you're challenging yourself to face your fear of watercolor. Friends, don't forget, ask me questions. I want to hear your questions. And while we do that, I'm going to get right to painting. I'm going to start with my 1/4" dagger. This is my favorite brush. It's the one I use more than anything else. I have sprayed down my watercolor paper earlier. I'm going to give it another spritzy spritz because it's been a moment. I didn't always spray down my palettes. This is something I started a few years ago because it just felt like it took too much time to drop little drops of water in there. It was just too much time. Okay. I typically start a painting in the place that I'm most excited about. And I'll tell you what, friends, I am most excited about this little love bug here, the bulb. So I'm going in with a little bit of brown. And friends, another thing to know about me, I am not going to call out specific color names. Very rarely, by design, for 2 reasons. Number 1, I have a horrible memory. Number 2, I want you to use what you have. And I have found in my teaching over the years that folks get really hung up on color choice and color mixing. I get hung up on neither. So I used a little brown. I used a little purple. I did use my purple's like lavender. It's a convenience color from Daniel Smith, right? So if you don't have lavender, just dab in a light touch of purple and don't worry about it. I'm going to add in a little bit of orange. Had too much on my brush, so I dabbed it off. I love color. So you're going to see me do crazy things. This is wet on dry right now. Wet on dry. It's how I start most of my paintings. Now, anything I drop in is wet on wet. And yes, I'm going in with color that maybe doesn't make sense to you right now. That's okay, because I like a lot of color and I will tone that down as I work. As I'm laying down my strokes, I'm thinking about the bulbous shape of this bulb, and I'm putting those strokes in somewhat of a general direction of that bulbous shape. So like here, curved, a C, a backward C, right? Okay, I get really excited. If you couldn't tell. Okay, I think my caffeine kicked in. Woo! Friends, head to comments. Tell me what has you most surprised about today's painting session. I want to hear it. And you can be honest. If it's my crazy voice and how I go sing-songy, I don't care. If it's the fact that you're marveling at the fact that I still can't smoothly begin a live stream and you think it's hysterical, let me know. Just head into comments and let me know what surprised you today. Maybe you had an aha moment. Maybe something in the way that I was sketching. You were like, wait, what? I want to hear it. So get into comments. Let's have a conversation. And friends, if you're watching on replay, I'm so glad you're here. And we want you to join in too, because I reply to all comments. Get involved in the conversation. The one thing that I've been most surprised, but also most delighted about this YouTube experience is the amazing stuff that happens in the comments. So I love that you're chatty. I am definitely chatty. Thank you, Diane. Love your career freestyle. Art shouldn't be stressful. You always remind me of that. Yay. Friends, you need to check out Diane, our Diane Zimmerman here in comments. She is an incredible group on Facebook that she has graciously let me become part of in a small way. It's called Watercolor Beginners and Beyond. I hope I got that right. If you are not part of that group yet, you need to be. It is an incredibly supportive, inspiring group. And she was gracious enough to let me, post about this event today in that group. And so head on over there and become part of that conversation as well. Rachel says, Victoria, I burst into song like it's my job because I think in another life I was a Broadway star. At least I like to think I was. Rachel says, I've been avoiding returning to watercolor for months because I get too scared of it. Thank you for making this accessible and joyful. Rachel, I get you. I get you. Let me tell y'all a story. All right. And friends, remember, today is a fundraiser. At the bottom of your screen, you can see how to donate. Venmo at Momental or PayPal, Kristy Rice at Momental Designs. You can check out momentaldesigns.com if you're new here and you just want to make sure I'm legit and not just like running away with your funds. I've been in business for 19 years and I've been painting my whole life. And so I'm the real deal, but I get it. You could also just go to Matthew 25 Ministries, or I don't care who you donate to. If I've inspired you to donate a few dollars, just do it somewhere. All right. So we're talking about fear. Rachel brought up a really amazing, amazing, but it's something that we all feel, right? That fear of my first live. I'm awaiting your brushes, Kristy. Okay, friends, that fear of messing up. What are the fears? Friends, call out some of the fears you have when you're painting. Call them out. Let's just be honest with each other. Come on, let's not mess around. I'm going wet on dry here, right into the ribbon. I've got the pointed edge of my dagger facing down, and I'm just slowly following the curve of the sketch that I started, realizing fully that I might run into this little golden brown here, and it's still damp, and it's okay. In fact, I'm going to do it on purpose because I think that might be pretty. Rinse my brush a little wet, blendy blend, gorgeous. I'm getting right out of that ribbon and going into the next bit of ribbon. I'm not going to try to perfect. I'm not going to try to zhuzh right now. I'm just laying down that first layer of color. And every time I go back now, I'm grabbing a different blue, maybe a little bit of a purple. This is how I mix on the page. This is why I find that I am not mixing on my palette as much as many, because I like to just grab color, get it on there, and let gravity do its thing. And yes, I do sometimes start pretty dark with my watercolor too. All right, let's look at these fears. Thank you for sharing, friends. The lie of not being perfect. Fear that I won't be good enough, wasting supplies on an ugly disaster. Let me just dispel this for you right now, friends, as I continue these ribbons. And I'm still going wet on dry. Friends, there is never a situation where your supplies are wasted. I want you to hear me right now. There is never a scenario where your supplies are wasted. I don't care if you just painted like unequivocally something ugly. 9 out of 10 people would say that is a disaster. I don't care if that is what you indeed painted. The experience, the moments, the minutes, the time that your brush hit paper again and again, even if it was in utter despair and frustration, you didn't waste a thing. You didn't waste effort. You didn't waste time. And that certainly means all of that. You did not, hear me again, you did not waste supplies. Because we're on a journey. We're on a walk. And I know I use the word journey a lot to the point that I'm like disgusted with myself. I need a new word. We're on a walk. We're on a walk, friends. How would you get to point A, from point A to point B, if you didn't take individual steps? You never would. You'd stop. You'd sit. You'd cry. You'd turn back around, right? Every step, every time your foot hits the pavement, every time you hear the crunch of the leaves underneath your foot, every time you stumble and don't fall, taught you something. Or at the very, very least, it built up stamina, right? Every single time. Friends, if you're getting value from what I'm saying, or if you're getting value or inspiration from what's happening on my paper, please consider giving this video a boop. That's a like. And please consider donating. It can be 50 cents, friends. I don't care. Every little bit truly helps, just like this walk we're on. Every step, every stumble, every moment has value. Every one. I was going to tell you a story earlier. I'm still doing wet on dry, and then immediately it becomes wet on wet, so I can go in and do things like this. Adding a little bit of this creamy, lovely yellow that I don't know the name of from Daniel Smith. In 2013, in my business, Momental Designs, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. That is the business name that you're seeing at the bottom of the screen for donations, friends. My company got a huge client. I promise you this story has a purpose. My business snagged a massive client. And it was one of those like business shifting type situations. And before I knew it, I was 6 months into a year-long project that literally consumed every part of me. And I didn't realize it in the middle of all of it, but it was an amazing experience, and one that taught me a lot, and one that brought my business a lot of notoriety. And one that I'm to this day incredibly grateful for. Friends, I am just fussing and discussing on this little bud here, and I'm about to smack myself proverbially because I know that I'm fussing and discussing. So I'm about to get out of here. All right, I'm getting out of there. It's a great way to bash fear, friends. It's when you feel yourself hyper focusing on an area, back out, move on, get somewhere else, come back to it. So at the time, though, I didn't realize that I essentially had become an on-demand artist for a very wealthy individual. He was extremely loved art, respected artists. It was very important to him and his family. But in that year's time, almost a year, I became his personal artist in so many ways. And at the end of the project, I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know where to go. I hadn't painted for myself. I literally was painting on demand for another human being for months on end. And I had lost the ability. I was scared. I was afraid of going back to my own dominion and having dominion over my artwork myself, right? I was terrified. And I see that in here. Linda says, fear I won't be good enough. Selena says, my fear and my greatest nemesis to date is mixing colors when I play with larger sets. Thank God for DS. I've already, thank you. Thank you so much for the donations. Yes, I'm still live, Gina. Yes. Yes. So I see the fears. I'm afraid I suck. You don't suck, guaranteed. Yes, this is live. Friends, I don't know a lot, but I'm never afraid to paint. Well, that's good. But I see those fears. They were like my fears. I'm afraid of wasting expensive paper. There it is again. I see. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. So I see the fears that I was having back in 2013, friends, I see in your comments. I see those fears. I'm going into this tulip wet on dry with just a soft yellow. If you don't have a soft yellow, just water down your bright yellow. Grabbing another yellow. Every time I go back to the palette, I grab a different color. I completely abandoned my sketch there, so I need to adjust this. This is just going to be a loopy doopy blooming tulip here. All right, there we go. I was afraid. I had been creating art literally designed to get someone's attention other than myself. I had been painting, creating pieces that would get turned down and never used for their original intention. And that was disheartening. I was on projects where I'd work really hard with my team to develop something, and then the gentleman who hired me would bring someone on board to work with us. It was insanity. So that experience created so much fear in me. And at that point, yeah, I was a professional artist at that point. I had been licensing my work and selling my work. And, I had a proven track record even back then. And there I was, completely stifled by fear. The project was over, and I would sit on my couch at night, and I would have like a sketchbook nearby, and I'd have a few supplies, because at that point I was so frustrated with myself. Like, I was afraid. I was afraid of that white page. And I was like, I just don't know what to paint anymore. I don't know what, I had lost a sense of what my personal style was. And so I feel in so many ways like I struggled the same way y'all did and do. But what pulled me out of it? That is the crux of it. That's what has brought me to the point that I'm at. That's why I teach the way I do. Is because I essentially, and I'm using a pink and like a rust here and letting them blendy blend, and ooh, I love it. And what I eventually did, because I would sit there and I would fuss and I'd be like, oh, I want to paint, but I don't know what to paint. And so that night, my supplies would just sit on the couch and I'd watch Netflix. And then the next night, I really feel like painting, and I saw this thing the other day and I should go grab my iPad, and I would just get lazy and let that fear of that blank page that had been sitting next to me, my sketchbook sitting next to me on the couch, and I put it to the side again. And some nights I would actually start making some marks on the page, and I'd be like, you know what? I should wait till tomorrow, until it's daylight, until I have better light. And then what would I do again? I would set everything aside. And so, but eventually what happened is I started to, number one, I started to create space for myself mentally and physically. Most importantly, right now, was physical space. I would set up little art trays, little cups of supplies everywhere in my house. I gave myself very few opportunities to make excuses not to paint. And in my recent book, I have a whole section about magic cups. And my magic cups were all over the house. And sometimes it was a tray of supplies. Sometimes it was literally a few pieces of scrap paper and a few pens, a felt tip colorful pen, a Sharpie. But all around my house, I had these magic cups and supplies, or little trays, so that anytime I felt a spark, the smallest spark, I at least had the supplies. I'm doing a little something here, friends. I'll put down a stroke of really intense color. I'll rinse my brush, and then I will just spread that color around, and it creates instant depth, instant highs and lows. And then even more, if I scoop it back up a little bit, look at that, instant highs and lows. Let me take a look at these comments. Jody says, I like to paint when it's quiet and my household isn't crazy. I would love to retrain myself to just do. I think my space has to be my perfect horrible. That's my perfect horrible habit. How do I overcome that? Jody, that's so funny. I was just talking about that. I used to have that thing where I had to be in the perfect light. I had to have the perfect supplies that matched my mood right at that moment. I also had this thing where I had to, I used to not use whatever supplies. I would never touch Crayolas. I would never work on subpar paper. And I just dismantled that. And I think one thing that you can do, and I just mentioned it, is have these creative spaces set up all over. I have one in my car, friends, in the back seat, in the little pocket where my kids sit. I have art supplies everywhere. I have a little set in my glove compartment. I have a little set in the diaper bag. So I think the biggest thing, and this is something that I did early on when I realized I was really struggling to be inspired, stay inspired, and create under my own dominion again after that crazy project in 2013. Just adding some purple here to the grape hyacinth. And I'm not even staying in the lines. I'm literally just kind of wiggling my brush around over top of those sketchy moments. That's it. That's all. A little bit of pink in here. A little bit too much. Spread it out with a clean brush. Wet on wet now. Ooh, so good. Ah, love it. So for me, Jody, and anyone else who struggles with, I've got to have the perfect setup to start painting, right? Is to create a bunch of imperfect setups for yourself where you create most. I think that is so helpful. It helped me tremendously. So I'm going to suggest that you do it for yourself. Wet on dry with a little bit of teal and whatever was on my brush because I didn't really rinse it all that well. Going back, dipping in water. I'm grabbing a little bit of this yellow orange color. Little bit of blue that's just sitting on my palette. I don't know what it actually has in it. See, friends, do you see how unprecious I am about the colors I use? Look at that. That's pretty. Something else that you can do, friends, especially if you've gotten at least to the lovely point where you are painting, you've gotten past the fear, you've pushed away the fear of perfection enough that you're actually sitting down to paint. Here's what I want to remind you of. You need to talk yourself up. You need to be kind to yourself. So see how I just said that? I was like, not looking too bad. Oh, I like that. Talk to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Thank you, Wayne. Diana, can't figure out how to donate. You're at the bottom of the screen here. You'll see there's a Venmo. You can donate via Venmo at Momental, or you can donate via PayPal, Kristy Rice at momentaldesigns.com. I also have super chats set up on YouTube, but it's not my preferred method because YouTube does take a cut of that money, and I'm trying to get as much money as possible to this cause. So friends, yes, and Venmo, PayPal. PayPal is the best if you send PayPal as a friend. But any of the money with Venmo, any of the fees that are taken out, they're very small, and I'm just going to cover those so that the full amount will go to Matthew 25. Okay. Friends, let me know what questions you have. I'm sure you have questions about how I'm doing this, why I'm doing this, why I'm so crazy. Like, ask me anything. Friends, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm an oversharer by nature. I got to get up here in these ribbons because I'm obsessed with the ribbons. I remember when I would paint these, I was painting these in the, if you were here earlier, I told the story of festoons and why I love festoons so much. And I kind of use them as a way to do my travel sketching. And I remember just being obsessed with sketching the ribbons and how they curved. And I have paint all over my arm right now, and it's going to get on my page. I am known for smudging my pages so bad. Anyhow, lifting some of this with a clean, damp brush. Dipping my brush back in the water, lifting. So pretty. Isn't it so pretty? grabbing really bright, like a French ultramarine. Look at that. I mentioned a color name. I probably don't even have it right. Really bad. I think that one of the biggest reasons that I don't mention color names is because I work with so many different palettes and I have an instinctual memory for where colors are on my palettes. So I don't swatch like most people swatch. If you've been here with me on this channel, you know that well. A little bit of Opera Rose in here for some punchiness. I love it. Oh, I miss doing festoons. We're going to start a festoon revolution. Do I have a favorite color? I adore Opera Rose. Why are you so crazy? Oh my gosh, Deborah. I'm not sure what angle from which to answer that question. I'll tell you what. For many years, this part of my personality, this goofballness, I didn't let everybody see it. It was always there. I always had this crazy kind of sense of humor. But it was something that only like my near and dear friends were given the privilege of seeing and enjoying. I'll be honest, I was the fat kid. I'm still the fat kid. Who am I kidding? I guarded myself really closely. I didn't want to get made fun of. I didn't want to be on display because I thought that it would be an opportunity. I was made fun of a ton in grade school. Oh my gosh, sob story central. But really, this is why I'm so crazy. I was made fun of. I was picked on. All the things, blah, blah, blah. But it developed in me a tremendous set of fears for being myself. And so luckily, I had some incredible friends growing up that I still have to this day that literally live up the road. And so I got to be me when it counted, right? And a couple of years ago, and this went into my adulthood, I became a successful business owner and being pretty shy and not showing the real me unless I was really comfortable with you. And you can even look my earlier YouTube videos. Was a different person. I put on that muted version of myself, even on YouTube back in the day, 2016, 17. Anywho, I added another little bulb here just because she was in the original. So I'm so crazy now. A few years ago, I decided to just be me. I gained some confidence. I went on a health journey. I started to feel better physically. And at the same time, something in me clicked. And that I was tired of having my personality split in two. And I just wanted to be me for all the people, all the places. And so I slowly started creating content on Instagram, showing my face, forcing myself to show my face. And I'll tell you what, it's been a wild ride. And especially in the last 8 months, I have never felt so alive and so myself. And I'm grateful for you all tolerating my insane behavior. So thank you. Jennifer, your cat's trying to eat your paint. I love it. I love your personality and I can relate a lot on almost all levels there. Yes. Thank you, Terry. So Judy says, this is my first live. Do you paint on a regular basis weekly? Not live. I really need to. It's just hard to find the time. I upload to YouTube 3 times a week. So not live, but permanent videos. So that takes a ton of my time. I'm also creating original content, unique content for YouTube or for TikTok. So there's a lot of places you can find me, and there is some content on Instagram, but I mostly use Instagram to just get information out, announcements, things like that. So I'm not live on a regular basis. I'm doing this live today so we can raise some funds for Ukraine. And I just realized that that was supposed to be a leaf, not a ribbon, but it's a ribbon now. See, friends? Go with the flow. Make a little taily do. And there, she's a ribbon now. Who cares? Who cares? I could swatch all day long. Actually, friends, let me show you something. I did my first mixing chart in like years. I was developing making the final choices on my watercolor palette. And I did some of my first mixing charts in years. And I got to admit, it was fun. It was super fun. So here's another one. So yeah, I get it. I get why it's cathartic. Deborah, girl, we love the spicy, fun gal that you are. Oh yeah, spicy and fun. Once we have a passion for art, there is no stopping us. Thank you, Lorna. Lorna, you need to be a moderator because you're already doing it. Thoroughly enjoying the real you. Well, thank you. Hello, shout out to all my friends watching on Facebook. I'm so grateful you're here. I have no idea what time it is, nor do I care. All right, a little bit of green, a little bit of yellow. Getting in here. What is this? What did I do here? Most often with my dagger, I've got the point facing, the point down, curved edge up. I find if I'm using the point of the brush, the curved edge is always up. It's just the right angle. If I am using the curved edge and not the point, I'm making a broader stroke, the curved edge is always down. Friends, if you are watching this on the replay, remember, you can also get involved in this conversation because I respond to all comments. So hit up the comment section, ask your questions, and I'll tell you what, I don't just, if you ask me a robust question, you're going to get a robust answer. Let me just say that. So get in there, get your questions on. If you do feel like donating and it's after the fact, just know that your money will get donated. It's not going to go into some vacuum, some void. If you donate through me, but always know if you're watching on the replay, you can go right to Matthew 25 Ministries. They have a button right on their page, or just donate anywhere. If this live has inspired you, or you're watching on the replay and you're inspired to give, just give. It doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter how. All right. Keeping up with comments. Let's see. I have hundreds and hundreds of brushes, never a dagger. Girl, don't get started on color charts. My daughter and I need to create geometric designs and just swatch them. LOL. Yeah, good stuff. What do I want to do now? What did I sketch? Oh, I know what that is. Oh my gosh. To remind myself what I did, where, and why. I'm just going to lay a stroke down of this kind of medium intensity blue, rinse my brush, dab it a little, and then just go right next door. It's a little too much water, dab it, and blend, blend, blend. And you have immediate highs and lows. See that? And then you can go back in with nice darker blue. Wow, that was too much. And look at that. Boom! Look at that. Highs and lows for days. Love that. Love it. I don't love what's happening over here. What the heck happened over there? Color just dried really weird and outliney. Just gonna scrubby scrub. Get that moving and grooving. All right, how do we feel? Should I get the watercolor markers out? Is it time? Is it time, my friends? Let me know. Thank you, Danielle. I keep trying to do that and it just bleeds out instead. Diane, I want to help you. You keep trying to do what? And what it's bleeding out. Tell me. And I can help. All right, rinsing my brush, dabbing it on the paper towel, and then stroking right next door. Boom. As I stroke, I'm lifting away because if I didn't lift, my stroke would be too broad. Add the darks. If it's bleeding too much, Diana, it probably means you have too much pigment on your brush and it's too much pigment for the space and it's just exploding everywhere. So try a little less pigment. You are so fast. I'm in awe. Thank you. I'm going to get this ribbon in, but I forget. I need to get my pencil back out. There's no shame. The ribbon's going to start here and it's going to come. Talk yourself through things. Talk yourself through things. And it's going to be up here. And I think I actually painted something else where I meant to have ribbon. It's okay. Little bit of blue. Push that back out. This is that thread of ribbon. It's coming down. Felt like we needed that visual darkness of that blue coming down through the rest of the composition. So here I go adding it. Different blue on my brush, more intense. This is an opportunity. Every time you put a darker color down on the page, think about the actual thing you're painting right now. I'm painting ribbon, but also think about what you're running into. I'm running into the grape hyacinth. I'm running into the bulb. So this dark color that you're laying down is an opportunity to define other areas as well. See that? Things are popping. Do I have the outline for the drawing? Thank you for donating to Catholic Charities. I don't have the outline, but what I could do, I could provide one. I can get it in the information section here after the live. You could do a little sketch and you could download it. Sure. I did do a rough sketch on the iPad, so I can provide that for anybody who wants to work from it. Absolutely. All right. Moving down. I like that ribbon coming down through everything here. That's lovely. Just a really nice visual thread, tying everything together. Rinsing my brush now, going back right next to that blue and blending it out. Remember, when your page is wet, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to refine, edit. Virginia says, I love your personality and the way you paint and teach. I was going to buy your lovely brushes on Amazon and they are sold out. Yes, friends, the brushes are currently sold out. If you're watching this on the replay, hopefully the brushes are back in stock by now. We have a ton coming in. The last batch that we had just did not last as long as we expected. So I'm so sorry. I'm answering questions all day long, every day about when they're coming back. So they're coming back really soon. So thank you for your patience. All right, let's see here. Thank you, Lorna, for answering questions. You're the best. Lorna, please reach out to me, because if you're interested in being a moderator for future lives, I would love to talk to you about that. hello@kristyrice.com. While you paint, could you share your journey into watercolors and creating a business with it? Have you always loved watercolors, been mentored in the craft? Oh, thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for giving me something to talk about. I am going to get watercolor markers out here and start to show you how I detail. Tis time. Let's get a little brown. Get a little, so if you weren't here earlier, I'm using Zig Clean Color Real Brush watercolor markers. I did use a little fluorescent in this one, so that was fun. Friends, if you're having a good time, please give this video a boop. That's a like. That helps my channel and lets other people know that this is something they need to watch. So if you think others need to watch this, give this video a boop. Okay. So I will start creating some line work. I love contouring. We hear a lot about contouring in makeup and other places. I love to follow the initial shapes that I've laid down. In this case, we have this bulb, which is a bulbous shape. And start cutting in. I mean, a bulb has a very uneven surface, right? So start cutting in areas like that. You can grab your brush, get a damp brush. These are watercolor markers, and you can blendy blend. See that? You know what I'm talking about. A bulb has this like undulating surface, and we want to create that vibe. Now those original lines that I sketched down, I'm going to blend those, soften those, diffuse those a bit, and continue to cut out some valleys in the surface of this bulb. So I'm using like a dark brown watercolor marker, and I'm just creating a little notch and then blending out and down from that notch. And you can already start to see that happen. I'm going to continue with this, and I'm going to answer Rebecca's question. So I have been creating art since I was a little girl. I did not start with watercolors. I started just with like markers, colored pencils, and my mom thought I was copying Garfield cartoons because I would bring her these sketches of Garfield that I did, and apparently they were so lifelike, she thought that I was somehow tracing them, putting, you know, up to a window, like my book or whatever I was working from, because, you know, this was the 80s. And she thought I was copying. And so she had herself a little aha moment one day when I was like, Mom, what's copying? Like I was, you know, like 7 years old. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you saying? Obviously, those weren't the words I was using. I was 7 years old. But whatever I said, she tells me she quickly realized that I was not copying. I'm going to grab a blue and get some love going on in that ribbon. It's a little more of a teal, but I'm feeling it. I'm going to create a little stroke here, pressing down, lifting up, pressing down again. So I'm going to have this dark stroke of teal. I'm going to dampen my brush. My brush is clean. I'm going to go right next to that mark and blend it out ever so slightly. And now we have this drama and this depth. Ugh. So anywho, at that point, my mom just started buying me whatever art supplies I wanted. She was just like enamored with the fact that I was creating such, I guess, realistic artwork at such a young age. She was just like, what the heck? I mean, realistic for a 7-year-old. You know, I wasn't like a prodigy or anything, but she was, you know, impressed. And then we found out that a woman in our town gave art lessons. Her name is Sue Hand. And this woman still in our town, still giving art lessons. So she signed me up and there was a wait list. I am just continuing down here with this teal. Kind of like this teal. So waited for a bunch of months and then I got in. And honestly, the rest is kind of history because I very quickly went all in, loved this experience. It was very classic training that I had, very classic training. I'm going over this with like an aqua. I'm going to do some of the aqua over here. Look at that. Look at that. It's subtle, but it's lovely. Ooh, so good. Let's get some of this aqua over here. Over here. I don't want to lose my highs. My highs are my light areas because I tend to paint darker, so I have to be careful with my highs. I can lose them easily. So I started art lessons. The way that she taught was she literally would go in. She had a wall of knickknacks, right? She had a wall of knickknacks and you would go to the wall and you would pick something that inspired you. This is really dark here. I'm going to do some lifting right in here, friends. So if you're curious about lifting, pay attention to this area. And she'd say, pick something off the wall, adding some water here, friends, with a little bit of friction, letting it sit, rinsing my brush, and then I'm going to lift and blot, lift, and blot, lift, and blot. So I picked this concrete bunny off the wall, right? I don't know. I was nervous. I didn't know. And she said, okay, draw the bunny. Draw it. Try to, I remember she said, how did she say it? She said, look for as many details as you can. Make it as realistic as you can. Look at the shapes. Look at, and this is kind of the language she was using. This is such a core memory for me. I was 11 at the time. So, you know, it was a while between my mom finding me, quote unquote, copying Garfield and getting me into art lessons. And up until that point, I had just been, you know, painting with Bob Ross and, you know, crafting and doing whatever my mom would buy me to do. So anyway, she said, make that bunny as realistic as you can. Look at the fur. How would you draw that fur? What lines would you use? What kind of shape does his body look like? What kind of shape does his head look like? How much bigger is his body compared to his head? You know, she was, you know, teaching me about proportions, but she wanted to see where I was at. So I drew the bunny. And I remember her just making a big fuss because apparently I did a good job. And I loved it. I loved every moment of it. I became a figure in that studio. In high school, I started teaching the younger kids. I went to school for art education. I just immersed myself in art from that day forward. And so I kind of rose up the ranks of the studio. Like I said, became a student teacher. Then I went off to college and I went to school for art education because it was the practical thing to do so I could get a job after college. Ha, ha, ha. I'm using a darker blue here and some few little linear strokes to intensify that dark area. And I just pulled a pan out. Let me look at comments here. But yes, my teacher introduced me to watercolor, and I've been with watercolor ever since. Kristy, I don't intend to disturb you right now, but can you answer me later? Do you do workshops somewhere in the US? I would love to attend some of yours. I'm sure we would have a lot of fun with you. Virginia, I would love to. It's something I do in-person speaking for my other business, my wedding business. I actually am going to be in California in May, and I don't know where you're at, but I was thinking about maybe putting something last minute together while I'm out there. So it's something on my mind, Virginia. It's just something I struggle to make some time for because I'm uploading so much, and I have another business I'm running, but I would really, really love to do some in-person stuff because there's nothing like it. I've done some stuff locally here with the colleges. You know, I did something earlier this year for a local college's parents weekend, and that was super fun. So yes, it's something on my mind. I don't have anything currently on the schedule, but I'm thinking about doing something. I think, where am I going? Is it Anaheim? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Y'all are awesome. There's so many comments. I can't keep up with them. So thank you for those of you who are answering comments for me. I so appreciate it. Gina, I love drawing and painting from my imagination too. It's your own little world. I always bust into a song, a whole new world, because watercolor and creating these little environments, it feels like that. It feels like that crazy Disney song. I apologize in advance because I am on a Disney kick. My family, we are going to Disney in just about 30 days. And I've been immersing myself in the language that is Disney, learning how to plan a trip. And my kids and I and my husband, we've been watching Disney movies nonstop to get in the spirit, because I am not like, we did this because it was like a bucket list thing and our friends are going and we haven't seen our friends in a while. And it was just like, okay, let's go to Disney. I really wasn't that into it. And in the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a racket. I don't know why we're doing this. And now girlfriend is all in. I am like planning to get nail art with Disney on it. I mean, I'm like all in. I'm figuring out how to decorate our strollers. I've got Mickey ears where Mickey's an artist. Like, I've lost my mind. And clearly I'm breaking into random Disney song at the drop of a hat. So I've completely gone off the Disney deep end. So forgive me, don't judge. Yeah, but I love creating from, just as much as I love creating from life. I do love just winging it. Mm-hmm. Let's beef up this yellow here a little bit. I just can't believe there's 158 of you still here. How is that possible? Y'all are crazy. You're crazy just like me. Yes, I love aqua. Lorna says, the way in which you teach and encourage us to paint is absolutely infectious. Thank you so much. I'm just making sure I'm not running out of juice. Looks like I'm good. Let me show the original sketch again. I think that might be helpful for some of you if you hopped on recently. There we go. Now you know my password. Whatever. Okay, so this was where we started. This was my little sketch, just to give you an idea. so freeing. Sent the stream to my mom. Awesome. Make it all up, girl. Make it up, Selena. You got this. You got this. Remember, friends, I don't really mix on the palette. Now I am going into further. I'm adding a new layer to this tulip. This is called glazing. I've got my brush almost parallel. It's about a 30-degree angle, actually. I lie. And I've got like a orangey yellow on my brush. And I'm just stroking upwards. I'm doing a little bit of an upstroke. Letting the color run out. There is such benefit. Right now, the color's almost run out. But there's such benefit of letting the color run out on your brush. You don't always have to have a fully loaded brush. It's a good thing to not. All right, now I'm going to go grab, let's see, this like a mustardy, fluorescent. Why not? Live on the edge, little butter yellow. These are not the actual color names because y'all know I don't remember color names. Get some yellows going here. Let's see. This one might be too strong. And I just want to go in. I want to define. The great thing about these markers, you can define and go right into a damp area with them. And you're going to get a beautiful diffused mark. Like just gorgeous. I'm going to go in here pretty heavy because this is a little valley. I want to create this deep shadow here so I get a sense of the interior of this tulip because this tulip is all flopping open and wide and it's not tight and closed. So I want to get a sense of that. So I'm notching out this little valley here. Don't worry if you are curious about watercolor markers, these quality ones. You can use them in a wet area. The color will start to diffuse and deflate, but then give it a rest. Come back to it in a little while, and the color will be back and flowing just like you'd expect. I use these markers hard. I am tough on them, and they never fail me. I've also been testing out Jen Craft's watercolor markers, and they're pretty nice. Pretty nice as well. Going in with a little bit of linear detail, just a few light strokes, little scratchy lines to define that area. A little bit more. Let's get a green. I want to define that green a little bit. Oof, so nice. Yes. The markers are Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. Jersey G Angel, I am ready for new paints after using your, I'm assuming mailing watercolor since 2020. I know most recommend tubes and I have bought a few, but since I just paint for fun, would prefer pans. Still recommendations. I've actually been recommending Mozart's Komarebi pan set. Now, it's a Japanese watercolor, which has a little bit of a different feel, especially when it's dry. There's like a little bit of a finish to it. Hard to describe, but I love the set. It's not professional watercolor. So if you're looking to upgrade to professional, I would recommend, there's other things I would recommend. But if you're looking to stay kind of like a, you know, a little bit more of a budget brand, but you want a little more variety of color, I love Komarebi. It has fluorescence in it. Now, obviously, if you're worried about light fastness, may not be the set for you. But if you just want to have fun and want a little bit more variety that's in the mailing, I would recommend that. And of course, I'm going to recommend my own palette, but it's not out yet. So we're getting there. It's in production. Things are just kind of crazy right now, as you can imagine. All right, I'm extending some of this green marker. I'm following the contour. So imagine the base of this, let me see if my pen has got juice again, because I think there's so much value in sketching these moments out for you. That's why I've been using this iPad. I want to show you how I'm attacking this. Let's see. Come on. Show me the love. Let me see. Maybe it disconnected. So imagine that this shape is really just like a bell, right? Apple Pencil's connected. Okay, then why is it not working? For the love. So this is like a bell, a bell, right? So here's our bell shape. Okay, I'm going at the top of the bell and I'm stroking down and down and down with the marker, and I'm following the shape of that bell with my marker. So here we go again. And in some areas, I'm going a little thicker, with just a little bit of green creeping down into the yellow, because you know how flowers do that. That green doesn't just abruptly stop. It creeps down. And then a damp brush, clean damp brush, and blend some of that up. Ooh, blend some of it down too. Look at that. Mwah! Chef's kiss. See? Talk to yourself. Build yourself up. Why are you not working? Bah. I'm a psycho. All right, I'm going to bring that sketch back up. Apparently, I don't know my own password. Yeah, that caffeine, boy, that kicked in a while ago. It's still with me. Thank goodness. Yes, Ganzi Tambi. Gina is recommending Ganzi Tambi's. Very similar to the Komarebi Mozart set. Yes. Van Gogh, Chef's Kiss, great. Dollar General watercolors, why not? Spray them down, let them juice up. They'll work fine for you. Diane, thank you for helping me get the word out about this. I so appreciate it. My Mozart's paints are coming today. Wonderful. Love it. I'm adding some fluorescent in just because I feel like it. I know fluorescents are, some of us love them. Some of us would never touch them. It's okay. I love the zing that they add. Woof. Look at that. Zingy, zingy, zing, zing. All right, let's get into this ribbon. Let's really jazz up this ribbon. Blue. What do I got? What do I got? All right. Okay. Think out loud. Nothing wrong with it. I'm going in here again. And I'm going to add some linear detail. It's almost like cross hatching. We know what cross hatching is, right? But it's just the one direction. You don't go back over. I mean, you can do whatever the heck you want. But when I call it linear detail, it's just a little name I made up. And it basically means adding detailing with small, tiny, thin lines, repeating again and again and again as a way to create depth, to create shadow, which shadow creates depth, ha, 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 and texture. And it's something in my personal work that I do just naturally now. And so, of course, when I'm teaching, I tend to teach folks how to do that. Going up here and lightly adding some lines. Let's go over here and add some. It's a great way to suggest volume. You can, like, I'm making little like U's repetitively, and it creates a sense of volume. Let's go right here where the brass ring meets this ribbon and put some darkness so that brass ring really pops, and so that ribbon really looks like it's going behind the brass ring. Oh yeah. Let me catch up with like an ink drawing. Yes. Why did you decide not to teach art in a classroom setting? Great question, Diana. You know what? It wasn't, it was more of a passive decision, I guess you'd call it, because Originally I couldn't get a job. I got married. I lived in Pennsylvania until I got married, and then I moved to New York where my husband was working, and I was able to work as a New York teacher. I made that happen, but I tried for months to even get, a substitute part-time position to teach art. And for the love, I couldn't find a job. And so, we needed to pay the bills. So I started working in retail. I had been working at Victoria's Secret prior to my wedding just to make some extra cash. I was living with my parents, but I needed some extra cash for the wedding. And so I worked at Victoria's Secret because they were hiring and it seemed like a fun thing. And it was a fun thing. I actually enjoyed retail a lot because I love people and I love talking. Even though it was funny, I talked about my personality and not letting my personality shine. But when I worked in retail, I felt like I could be a little extra because they didn't know me. And so I started to eke out my personality a little bit there. And I think actually retail is where I started to get a little bit more confident. So I worked in retail and moved up the ranks. And I actually got involved a lot in visual merchandising while I was working in retail. And I'm just using a brown here to define this little mini bulb. And I got involved in visual merchandising. I kind of made a name for myself. I went then to Bath and Body Works, which was in the same corporation. And then I started traveling to do their visual merchandising. So I basically go to stores that really didn't have the visual thing in their wheelhouse, and I would make their stores pretty. And so then it became just like this momentum where I wasn't really looking for a teaching job anymore. But then I started on my breaks. I remembered how much I loved designing my own wedding invitations. And I started dreaming up a way to start a business where I was able to design wedding invitations. So on my breaks, I would work on logo ideas and all the stuff. And the rest is kind of history. What is the next level of watercolor brand I should get? Well, if you've used mailing, I know there's another name for it and I'm forgetting it now. I'm just adding some detail here where the ribbon meets the brass ring, just some real darkness to create depth and contrast. Let's see. I would recommend going professional. And I would probably recommend as your first professional brand, and I know some won't agree with me, but I would probably recommend, there's a Winsor & Newton series. If you just search Winsor & Newton Professional Watercolors on Amazon, or if you go to my Amazon Associates page, it's there. I think it's a tube set of 12, and it's a lovely starter set. It has opera rose in it. And I just find it to be a lovely beginner set. Daniel Smith is incredible. I love them, but I think they're a little too unpredictable for your first professional set. But you know your own personality. If you're okay with unpredictable, then go for some Daniel Smith. Another option that you'll be able to get more bang for your buck is Mission Gold. Mission Gold is incredible. They don't explode as much as traditional watercolors. Some people don't find that to be true, but I do. So Mission Gold could be really lovely for you. Oh, thank you, Latika. Thank you. You were at the creative retreat. Yes, we had such fun, didn't we? I love there's conversations going on between y'all in the comment section. Thank you, Lorna. Yes, friends, we are doing a fundraiser for Ukraine. All proceeds from today, literally 100%, are going to Matthew 25 Ministries, and they are doing refugee relief. So food, hygienic supplies, anything you can imagine to keep, imagine what you would need if you had to flee your home with nothing. Imagine what you would need. That's what they're providing. So 100% of proceeds, anything that you donate to me directly is going directly to them 100%. And 100% of what they receive that is delineated for Ukraine is going to Ukraine. They're not taking anything out of that, which is incredible. But friends, however, you can donate directly to them. If you don't want to do it through me, that's fine. I just, if you want to donate, just donate. I don't care how you do it. All right, so let's get a little bit of fluorescent orange up in here. I'm just going to stroke a little bit of that on with the watercolor marker, and then I'm going to smooth it out with a clean, damp brush. Look at that. Just a little oomph, a little jazz, a little what? That's what fluorescents do. They don't have to remain fluorescent looking in your paintings. Little scrubby scrub, blendy blend, and that's just mwah. Love it. Your personality made me start your channel. Thank you, Gina. Sue says Winsor & Newton on Jerry's Artorama is a great price. That's where I get mine. Fantastic. Yes. Daniel Smith, Explode and Flow, as does Core. So if you're looking for something that really bursts and is super like active on the page, Daniel Smith or Core are great options. And this little area here, I'm annoyed with. It's weird. I almost feel like I want to make a knot here. So I'm going to try to make a knot because this area got funky really quickly. And I don't know why. I don't know what I did, but whatever. We'll see what we can do to it. Let's make a knot, right? Too shabby. Too shabby. All right. I'm going to not be annoyed. One thing you always need to remember, if you get annoyed with a spot in your painting, leave it alone for a little bit. One of the biggest mistakes I think beginner watercolorists make is they get annoyed with the spot and therefore they hyper focus on that spot. And I'm the opposite. I get annoyed. I get the heck out because I know that my frustration and my annoyance is going to cause me to make decisions that maybe I wouldn't otherwise make. And so I get out and I come back with a fresh perspective, just adding little dots, little elongated dots here to start to define these grape hyacinths with my marker. Can you believe we've been painting for 2 hours, my friends? I cannot believe it. It has not felt like 2 hours whatsoever. Oh, baby girl, I hear her crying. Y'all hear her? She's not happy. She's not happy. Some linear detailing, little strokes coming out from the center of these teeny tiny little flowers. Moonglow, seriously. Yeah, Moonglow and Cascade Green from DS are fantastic. Yes. Let's bring this back. This is the original that I've been kind of inspired by today. Add a little purple down here. I posted a video yesterday. If you're watching this on the replay, it's a video about muddy colors. I'll link to it in the information section below so you can find it. And I talk about adding color to your color. And what I mean by that is when we're mixing colors, when we're painting, and maybe we're not the mixing type, but when you think about color and adding depth, I like to think about it in terms of adding color to my color. So I just added a little bit of this purple marker to the green in this tulip here. And you know, maybe the more makes sense angle would have been to add, if I wanted to make my green darker, more intense or shadowy, I would have added a blue, or I would have added a brown or a black, or, you know, but I am a colorist and I like to build color in a way that continues to energize whatever I'm working on and not make it more dull. And so instead I added a little purple and it was fun and I like the effect. So think about that. Think about adding color to your color to darken things. Let's see what adding a little bit of this purple on top of this green does. Ooh, that's interesting. I like that. Well, friends, we're going to start wrapping up here, but let me tell you what I am so grateful for you today. If you are watching this on the replay, don't forget, head into comments, add to the conversation. We want to hear from you. I respond to all comments. And also, friends, if you feel so compelled to donate, please feel free. Venmo information is below. I will be making the donation directly. And if there are any fees that Venmo takes, I know PayPal doesn't, but if there are any fees, I will be covering those fees. You can also donate via PayPal. All that information is at the bottom of the screen. All right, let's take a look. Comments. All right, friends. Any last minute questions? Let me know. This live will be available and will exist here forever and ever. Amen. So you can come back and watch. I'm going to be updating the information section. So head down there for some fun videos that you might want to follow up with and watch. I'm going to make some other things available. I'm going to try to get the sketch that I started with uploaded so you can see where we began. I will list supplies, all the things. I don't want to stop. I just don't. So fun. Thank you so much, friends. Let me know in comments if you think I should paint more festoons, how you feel about the festoons. If you plan to paint more festoons. Now festoons is starting to sound like a weird thing, so I'm going to stop saying it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. Let me know. A bit of blue here to tone down that yellow. Oh yeah. Good stuff. Friends, I thank you today for your generosity. I thank you for your interaction. I'm just blown away about how many people are here today, and I'm grateful for the replay watching friends that we have right now. I can't wait to hear from you. I wake up every morning blown away by the fact that I get to do this, these are my days, and you are the reason why I wake up happy. So thank you. Thank you, Aline. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Victoria. More festoons. Eventual artist. So interesting. Learned a lot. Thank you. Corky and Teresa Light. Thank you. After 40 Art. Thank you. After 40 Art. I recognize you from Instagram. Yes. Friends, it's been such a pleasure. You are my joy. Have an amazing rest of your Sunday. Thank you for watching. Get in those comments. And friends, until we meet again, all I can say is, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? Until we meet again, friends, thank you for the donations. Lorna, thank you for moderating. I appreciate it so much. Until we meet again, friends, happy painting.